So in 2.4a, we graph the function. 2.4b, now we're going to write the function. Now, as you can see on your screen, there are several different scenarios in which we could be writing the linear function. We have vertical and horizontal lines, slope and y-intercept, slope in a single point. So there's 6 different scenarios. So basically it starts off almost ridiculously easy, and then the amount of work increases depending on what you're being asked to work with. As far as what formulas we're going to be using, so we have slope-intercept form, which if we have the slope and the y-intercept, that's what we'll use. Point-slope form, which you see that there are numerous instances in which we would use that. And there's the slope formula when you need to find the slope. About as general as I can get that one. So, from today and on Monday, we will go through all of the scenarios. For some of the scenarios, it's pretty much, here's the problem, we're looking at how to solve it. And for some of the scenarios, we'll look at a basic example, but also look at an application, word problem, scenario-based problem. So it depends on the situation. But let's go ahead and start with the very, very basic case of a vertical line and a horizontal line. So, if you are given a point, if you're given a single point, then you can write the equation of the vertical line and the horizontal line that passes through it. So if I give you a point, the vertical line is simply x equals the given x value, whatever the x value is. For a horizontal line, it's y equals the given y value. So if they give you a point, or if they tell you it's an undefined slope, that's your clue that it's going to be a vertical line. If they give you a point and or they tell you that it's a zero slope, that's your clue that you're working with a horizontal line. So it's simple, yes, but you still got to read the problem to make sure you get the right information. So, looking at 1a, horizontal line passing through 3, -4. Horizontal line is an indication that your equation is y equals something. What that something is comes from the point. Take the y value off of the point and plug it in. That's it. That's your horizontal line. Let's pull the y value and that's it. 1b works the exact same way. Vertical line is x equals something. Take the x value off the point. And that's your vertical line. So for a horizontal line, you're just pulling off the y value. For a vertical line, you're pulling off the x value. So, any questions on our first case? All right. Let's keep going. All right. Case number 2. So case number 2, probably another simple scenario. Given the slope and the y-intercept. So, slope, they can tell you what the slope is, or the slope, remember, is also known as a rate of change. Y-intercept can be given to you many different formats. So they can tell you that b equals something. They can write it as a point, which would be 0, comma, something. Or if it's a word problem, you're looking for some kind of fixed cost. Fixed cost or fixed value. So that would be a y-intercept. Either way it goes, you're using the basic y equals mx plus b formula. So your steps are pretty simple. Plug in the slope for m, plug in the y-intercept for b. That's step 1. Step 2, that's it. So that's it. Once you plug in the slope for the y-intercept, that's it. So for 2a, the equation has a slope of -3/4, and it passes through 0, -6. So your slope, -3/4, so there's your m. 0, -6, that is a y-intercept, so that's b. Write it all out. -3/4 x plus -6. You can't leave it that way, because that's not simplified. There's your simplifying. So again, that's baseline example. Now let's put it into practice. At Happy Travel Car Company, rental company, the daily cost to rent a minivan is $19 plus 25 cents per mile. Write an equation to model the total cost y of renting a car based on the number of miles x. So in this case, we're looking at the 19 and the 25 cents. So you walk into a rental car company, they tell you that you got to put $19 down. So $19 is a fixed cost. You're going to have to pay that no matter what. So that would be your y-intercept, because it's a fixed cost. $0.25 is per mile. Meaning, how much that is depends on how many miles you drive. You drive 5 miles, you're paying a certain amount. You drive 500 miles, you're paying a certain amount. So that 25 cents is a rate of change, better known as slope. That's a rate of change. So there's your slope. Any questions on the identification? If you have a question on it, please feel free to ask, because it won't happen on the quiz, but definitely when you take your unit test for unit number 2, the problems are going to be there. Everything's not just going to be a baseline problem. sure you can identify those parts yourself. If not, we got the y-intercept, we got the slope. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals 0.25x plus 19. That's your equation. Questions on case number 2? Alright, in case 3. Case 3, given the slope and a point on the line. So, in this scenario, we're still being given a slope or rate of change. So that's your L. So a point on the line means they're giving you either a point, an x and a y value, or in the case of a word problem, an example of the two variables. Example of both variables. Which you'll see that when we use problem 3b. So when you're given a slope and a point on the line, we use point slope form. That means we know our slope, we know x1, and we know y1. Plug them in, and then simplify it back to slope intercept. So it's plug and chug, and then do a little bit of simplifying. So let's do a basic problem, and then a word problem. 3a. Line has a slope of 3/5. Pass through point 20, 9. So slope of 3/5, there's your slope. 20, 9 means that x1 is going to be 20 and y1 is going to be 9. So we have everything that we need to write the equation. Substitute everything in. So we put everything into the problem, and then we literally finish off the algebra. So if we distribute, you get y minus 9 equals 3/5 x minus 12. Add 3 to both sides. 3/5 x minus 3. And there you have it. Any questions on our baseline example? Then let's move on to the application. One of your parents gave a recommendation for a caterer that charges $22 per person served. For a party last year with 45 guests, their caterer charged $1,200. Write the equation that models the total catering charge y in relation to the number of guests x. So I gotta remind myself to do spell check next time, because they're spelled incorrect. At least in relation to how this problem set up. So they're telling you that the total catering charge represents y, and the number of guests represents x. So that means, if we look at the numbers that are given to us, $22 per person, that's a rate of change, so it's a slope. Telling you how much each person's plate costs. For a party last year of 45 guests, since they told you that the number of guests is equal to x, 45 is an x value. Total catering charge is y, that means 1,200, the y value. So there's your x1, there's your y1. We've now extracted the information out of the problem. Questions before we continue? If something's not clicking, make sure you say something. Always ask yourself, would I have been able to figure that out if I was by myself? So we got our slope, got your x1, got your y1. Plug it into the formula. So y minus 1,200 equals 22, x minus 45. Do our calculations. If we distribute, y minus 1,200 equals 22x minus 990. So you get y equals 22x plus 210. So what that means is, if you're the caterer, $210 is your y-intercept, meaning just for showing up, you're getting $210. No one can eat, but you're still getting $210. 22 is the slope, so for each person that eats, $22. Hopefully there's some good stuff on that plate. Any questions on 3A or 3B? Last part we'll touch is case number 4, when you have 2 points on the line, and then I'll open up the floor for anyone that has questions on homework or anything related to the quiz that you have this weekend. So case number 4, one word problem, one basic problem. So case number 4, you have 2 points on a line. So you're literally just given 2 points. Four numbers, A, B, C, and D. So you use the slope formula. First thing you gotta do is find the slope. look at example 4a. Line passes through that point and that point. Label your points. And find your slope. 4 over 2.2 minus 4.6. Then you solve it out, so it's negative 0.6 over negative 2.4. That's positive 0.25, or you can give it as 1/4. When you have decimals, when it starts out with decimals, I don't care if you get the final answer with decimals. It starts out with whole numbers, and you need to give it as fractions. So that's step 1. Step 2, pick one of the 2 points. So, to continue the rest of the problem, you pick one of the 2 points to use. Does it matter which one you pick? No. You should get the same answer anyway, as long as you do everything mathematically correct. So, I'm going to pick the first point. Why? Felt like it. So, I'm going to use the first one. Step 3, use point slope form. So since my slope is 0.25, and since the point that I'm going to use is 4.6 and 3.4, those are the numbers that I'm plugging in. X minus 4.6. So now this problem is no different than what we just finished doing. So we can go right ahead and knock this out. 0.25 times 4.6, 1.15. So 0.25x plus 0.25. That's it, problem's over. So, is it a harder problem? Not really. Just a few more steps, a little bit more work. Questions before we do our last example. And open up the floor for questions before we part ways for the weekend. Nope. So I chose the first point, the first x and first y value, because it came first. I could have just as easily used 2.2 and 2.8 and still gotten to the same final answer. So that's pretty much your choice. All right, let's look at 4b. Finish this off. Okay. Parallel and perpendicular lines we'll do on Monday. 4b. You've been keeping track of your grade since Labor Day. At the beginning of week 4, your grade was 84.6%. At the beginning of week 7, you saw that you were at 76.5%. Write a linear function that models your grade, y, at the beginning of week X. So they're telling you week is X and the grade is Y. So now we look at it in relationship to what was given. We was given. Beginning of week 4, the grade was 84.6%. So that means if X is the weeks and Y is the grade, that means one of your points is 4, 84.6, and the other one is 7, 76.5. Those are your 2 points. So right now, all we've done is extract the information out of the problem. Alright, you'd have to read it to figure out what goes what. Now I know the 2 points. This problem is now no different than the one we just finished solving. So first step, we need the rate of change. So we have 76.5 minus 84.6 over 7 minus 4. So we keep working that out. 76.5 minus 84.6, negative 8.1 over 3, negative 2.7. So what that slope means is that your grade is going down by 2.7% every single week. So that's your slope. Now for your point, you pick whichever point you want to use. You can use the point for week 4 or the data point for week 7. It does not matter which one you pick. You should get the same answer as long as you don't violate any mathematical rules. So this time I'm going to use the second point, which was 7 and 76.5. So I'm going to use the point 7, 76.5. So again, you have the choice of picking the point once you find the slope. So distribute y minus 76.5 equals negative 2.7 plus, negative times negative is positive, 2.9. Add 76.5, so negative 2.7x plus 95.4. So what that means is at the beginning of the quarter, you had a 95.4%, and your grade has been dropping by 2.7% each week. So in other words, whatever you're doing, stop it. That's it. You should be trending in the other direction. So that's how we handle 2 points. Any questions before take any questions you have, quiz related or homework related? The rest of it we'll save till Monday.